Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Yo, I'm so sleepy. I'm so tired. Whew. So we had to jump into music because I wanted to hear some music. I needed to wake up a little bit. Mind you, I've been up since, 7:30, 8, but I'm still asleep. So shout out to all the Libras. Today it's Libra season. I love Libras. Today is my auntie's birthday. And she's no longer with us, but I still celebrate her birthday. Still get her a cake like she's here living, because that's how I do. But I just want to shout out all the Libras. Y'all are so level-headed. Like, no issues, no problems. You don't want no smoke. Never. Y'all don't never want no smoke. But y'all... Y'all start the fires, though. But never want no smoke. Shout out to all the Libras. Happy birthday to y'all. It was my homegirl's birthday as well. And so this past weekend, we just celebrated her life and had a dope brunch. Stopped off at the casino. Listen, I would rather throw money at a stripper than throw money at the casino. That is not how I do. I don't get down with casino like that. Guess how much money I spent? Zero. Nothing. Why? Because I don't give away, there's no point in throwing away money. I'd rather have a good time and a good experience on a stripper than at the casino. It doesn't do nothing for me at all. So that's what I did this weekend. Aside from keeping everybody's kids, I got 15 kids at my house. I got the entire learning pod squad at my house, co-ed. I'm done with kids. These kids are annoying. I got 15 kids at my house right now. What's going on? Keith King Tero Dixon. Did I say that right? Shout out to you. I really did have mad kids at the house this weekend and last week. I keep kids because I just want to know what's going on in their life at all times. And I'm a snoop. I'm a creeper. So I ear hustle hard. And so if your kid's at my house, trust and believe I know everything that's going on. Everything. But we had a good weekend. The kids had a great time. I had a great time. Best friend had an amazing time. And so I feel good, but I'm tired. But I got enough sleep, but I'm not rusted. It's one of those days. My inbox is absolutely freaking insane. Shout out to everybody that went ahead and downloaded the app. I can't tell you how much free stuff I gave away this weekend to make sure people have the Spark FM online app. So to all those that got the t-shirts, your t-shirts should be out. Just give me until Wednesday, okay? Give me to the latest Wednesday, and then you'll have it in your mailbox soon thereafter. For those who wanted the digital copy of the book, you should already have your copy. And for those that wanted a physical copy, give me until Wednesday to get to the library, to get to the post office, and then you can have your book in physical form. As far as news is concerned, sadness all over the damn globe. I'm so tired of the United States of America and all the effery that we engage in a regular basis, but that's neither here nor there. One of the things that I wanted to start off with, because it was hilarious to me, someone posted that Trump's lying personal physician and Dr. Umar Johnson went to the same medical school. So Trump's doctor came out and he was like, no, there's nothing wrong with the president. The president's good. He's good. We're good. Everything's good. Don't worry. Don't worry about nothing. We got you. To turn around, and then he was like, listen, we may have, stretched the truth a little. Nah, that's called lying. You lied. You withheld information. But the White House wanted to paint a very optimistic picture of the president's health, and it wasn't completely accurate. They are trying to tiptoe and dance around the fact that they lied. But the president isn't doing well. We don't have... there's no concrete information. We're not going to get the truth. They're not going to tell us the truth about what how the president is doing. But I need, like, for all y'all over here wishing the damn president dead, can we please consider the fact that Mike Pence is vice president and what happens if the president dies? So let's keep him alive to be voted out of office, because the last thing we need is a Mike Pence and his, we don't need that. If you think Trump is bad, let Mike Pence become president. Trump's doctor and Dr. Umar Johnson got their medical degree at the same school. If you know anything about Dr. Umar Johnson opening a school for boys, you know why it's as hilarious as it is. That it's soul chuckling funny. Shout out Dr. Umar Johnson. You know what? Just Real said F politics. The truth of the matter is, until you make enough money for you to say F politics, politics be effing you, baby. Like, you can't say F politics just because you don't like it, because I don't like it. I can't stand all of the things that are taking place in the world and how we just let politicians do what politicians do. We don't ask no questions. We don't hold nobody accountable. We don't hold feet to the fire. And we don't say, remember the time when you promised this, and they don't never give us what they promise. So even though we want to say at the end of the day, F politics, at the end of the day, politics be effing us, because we are disengaged. We have no knowledge. They took civics out of school. And so these are the things, like, these are the conversations that we need to have with one another, because these are the conversations that are not being had, peace, Moroccan more, and not being had in our other spheres of communication. I don't never talk politics with my friends, even though they are politically informed. We never speak politics in family. Why? Because I have a bunch of Republicans in my family. I am like the only Democrat. I'm not even a Democrat. I'm a do the right thing. I'm a part of the Do the Right Thing party. You guys remember somebody hit me up this weekend and was like, yo, you saw your boy Not Effing Around Coalition? And he went ahead and brought all of his, yes, as a truck driver, politicians need you. We all need you. Citizens need you. Constituents need you. We need you. We need your vote. We need your voice. We need your truth. Everybody can bring a different lens. Everybody brings a different perspective, regardless of how you were raised or how you live your life or what profession you're in. You come with a different lens than the person sitting next to you or the profession that is completely opposite from you. So you said you've never voted, ever. Wow. Is there anybody? So I'm a super voter. I vote for everything all the time. I'm like, oh, there's questions. Let's see what these questions are, which we will be doing later on this week, is going through some of the questions for the November 1st election, because those questions do affect us as well. You guys have to remember, one of the questions that we had in Massachusetts was whether or not marijuana should be not medicinal, should be recreational. And so one of our questions for Massachusetts was a recreational marijuana question. If you didn't vote on that and it didn't pass, and now everybody smoking weed in the street got to go to jail because you were one of the people that did not vote to help us have recreational weed, those things matter. I know on the Massachusetts ballot this year, one of the questions is about, like, should your mechanic have access to personal information? And I honestly don't know how I feel about that. We're going to have that discussion. I believe it's on Wednesday. But the truth of the matter is, regardless of how much money you make, politics affects every area of your life. Period. From your health care to as a truck driver, how much money you get paid or how much money you don't get paid, what the mileage, what you're able to write off, all of that has an effect when you have politicians on a federal level that are like, and on a state level that are like, listen, truck drivers don't need to make more than 22 cents an hour. But you wouldn't know that because you're not engaged in the political process for you to say, nah, we deserve more, and this is why we deserve more. And so I would say, as much as you feel forgotten by politics and politicians, it is extremely important. I came from nothing, so I'm just going to continue to grind and not look for a handout. I got that. Okay, maybe it's not 22 cents an hour, but you understand it really is like 89 cents a mile though, right? It's not that much per mile that you guys make. I don't know. I'm going to stay out of business that does not belong to me, but if you do not, especially what are they called when you have union? A lot of people pay their union dues, and this is something I don't understand. You pay your union dues. Your union is supposed to be fighting on your behalf, but yet you allow the union reps to represent you in a way that does not prosper you. And so that's kind of upside down. It's the same ideology. So for you to pay these union dues, to have union representatives that are supposed to be representing you, that then vote against your better interests, it's like, nah, like we need to replace the union reps because I'm not paying union dues for you to vote on things that don't positively affect me, my life, my future. You're not going to be able to choose the healthcare that I want. I don't want you to choose these benefits that I don't want. Like, if you're not actively engaged in your union, union group, in your union period, and then you see all of these changes taking place, who do you blame but yourself because you did not stand up and have a conversation with your union representative that you're paying union dues? Now you take that and you put it on a larger scale, and it's the same thing. You pay your union dues in the form of taxes every time you get a check. And these representatives, these union reps, which are really your politicians, your city, your state, and your federal level reps all make these decisions without you. And now your health care, your pay, your food, your whole long list of everything is now determined on these people that you paid to make decisions on your behalf that aren't voting for your interests. Do you see how this works? Thank you, Just Real. I love and appreciate you. I hope you still get some more money and maybe, just maybe, get a little involved in what's going on around you, because it does make a difference. And the more voices we have, the more people to complain. Mind you, okay, let's say I have these 8 kids at my house right now and I'm going on strike. I'm not cooking a damn thing. One person comes and says they're hungry. I don't care. 2 come and say they're hungry. I don't care. Y'all figure this out on your own. But if all 8 are in my face bothering me about some food, then maybe, just maybe, I no longer want to be a deadbeat and I want to get them out of my face. So I'm going to cook them something to eat so they can leave me the hell alone. That's the same thing. If all of us make these complaints and say, listen, I don't like the way XYZ is taking place. I paid you. I did this thing. You are now in office. You're not doing what I want you to do. It's time to get rid of you. So Just Real, we need more people like you that don't want to be engaged in the process, but we need you. At the end of the day, that's the truth. Duke University renames the campus building after a Black woman trailblazer who, from this day forward, anyone who passes through its doors will carry her legacy of accomplishment, engagement, and lasting impact. And that was from Duke University President Vincent E. Price. Wilhelma Rubin Cook stepped foot on Duke University campus 57 years ago in pursuit of advancing her education. She was breaking barriers for generations of students of color that will follow in her footsteps. Rubin Cook, one of the first Black students to enroll at North Carolina's based university, is now being honored, even though she unfortunately is no longer living. So I think this is dope because in 182 years of history at Duke, this is the first Black woman to ever have something named after her. And so 182 years later, we got a first. And we're going to continue to talk about all of these firsts because It's 2020 and we're still fighting for the damn first because we have idiots in office. Like in New York City will now again close their schools, even they didn't send the babies to school. Everybody said it was a bad idea. Now they're closing schools and some businesses in the area because coronavirus has now spiked in numbers. Same thing here in Boston. As far as our numbers, we are considered red. No one, New Hampshire don't want us. Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island, like we damn near are the plague. Nobody wants us anywhere. Mayor Bill de Blasio said that he will ask state to approve plans to close schools and non-essential businesses in 9 communities with worrying about COVID-19 clusters. And they now have 9 zip codes in Brooklyn, Queens that have above a 3% positive level for 7 consecutive days or more. And that means that the measures tell us that we have to take more extensive action, the mayor said, with zip codes representing roughly 500,000 people in total. Some of the zip codes de Blasio highlighted have coronavirus positive rates nearing 9%, although he said as a city as a whole continues to have a low positivity level. We also have to take into account, when you take a look at New York City is a cluster of nonsense. Like when it comes to projects, when it comes to just people living on top of people with little to no updated ventilation system. Like it just, of course, duh. Yo, common sense really is not that common in America. Even still, like here in Massachusetts, we were like, yes, everything is open. Go as you please. And I'm trying to understand, bear with me, right? I'm trying to understand if I'm at a restaurant and all 4 walls are closed, you have not updated this bootleg air conditioning system that has been here for the last 35 years, and the woman who is 12 feet away sneezes, we know scientifically that ish is going to go, all the particles are now in the air. Essentially, this woman who may or may not have coronavirus, who does not know how to sneeze into her hand, her elbow, or anything, just openly achoo everywhere, and now all of these particles are infecting everyone in this building. And so we're going to pretend for 5 seconds that that's completely acceptable and nobody has any common sense to why we should or should not be in the public space doing public things with people that have no wherewithal to sneeze in a damn armpit. What is that thing called? In the crook of your arm. Somewhere, something. I be having to leave places on a regular bit. Like, I don't feel safe. This is not acceptable. Is nobody, like, especially in a grocery store when you are like all your stuff is on the belt, you're now waiting for it to be rung up, and now the person right next to you thinks it's okay to, like, don't stand next to me, your cart behind me. I'm not the one at the grocery store. That's not the way it works with me. I'm gonna need dame espacio. Like, give me my space, back 50 feet. But New York is not the only one. Boston is not the only one. We have, like, it's damn near a plague, and it's not by accident. Actor Thomas Jefferson Bird, a Spike Lee regular, was killed in a shooting. The Clockers star did his thing in my joint, said Spike Lee. And he's played Spike Lee's daddy. He's played... in the most recent shows, he played, so Spike Lee's sister played, what's the little freaky nasty girl? She Gotta Have It. So in the She Gotta Have It show, he played the daddy of the girl, and Spike Lee's sister played the mama. So the actor Thomas Jefferson Bird, also known for all of his roles in Spike Lee's film, The police responded to a call in Atlanta around 1:45 a.m. on Saturday and found 70-year-old Bird unresponsive with multiple gunshot wounds in his back. Police spokesman Anthony Grant said in a statement that this is not what they expected. They don't have any leads on who it could have been, why it was. Paramedics responded to the scene and he was announced dead in his home. In an Instagram post on Sunday, Lee said he was sad to announce Bird's death and recalled how the actor did his thing in his films, in Clockers, Chirac, Bamboozled, He Got Game, Sweet Blood of Jesus, and a host of others. I'm trying to think of what other films he was in. Wasn't he the daddy in He Got Game? Where the comments at? Because y'all know everything. I think he was the daddy and He Got Game. We know he wasn't in no gang violence. I wonder if it was like some type of robbery, or as soon as I figure out or the news figures out, I'll keep us posted later on this week, tomorrow, hopefully. I hope they find his killers. We know here in Massachusetts, in the city of Boston, less than 90%, I think it's like 92% of homicides are never solved. Like, if you ever, I won't say that because that's not something that I want to happen. Joe Biden enlists the help of black celebrities for an ad campaign. I don't care how many black celebrities you put in an ad campaign. Ludacris, Monica, Jermaine Dupri, Our Voice, Our Vote campaign, Kamala Harris, we support her. Do the knowledge. That's all I'm going to say. Do the knowledge. The lesser of two evils, yeah, sure. But at least know what you're voting for. If you're going to get in a relationship with an abuser, just be prepared to punch him in the mouth sometimes. Just be prepared. Like, if you know you about to enter a relationship with somebody who is abusive, he beat his last baby mama. He beat the baby mama before that. His first girlfriend is no longer living. Like, if you go enter a relationship with an abuser, at least know that at some point in time, you're going to have to knock his ass out. Be mindful of how you, know your movements. Know who you dealing with. Today and all day. This is our president, and our president conducts himself a certain way. Joe Biden, look at how he's conducted himself over the years. Look at Kamala Harris and see how she's conducted herself over the last few years. And just know that once your step parents get involved, your step parents are no better than your real parents. The grass ain't green on the other side. Are we going to have less racist rhetoric? Absolutely. But are we also going to have somebody treading on our necks? Absolutely. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Vote for the lesser of two evils that you believe, and I'll be writing myself in. Because I don't trust none of these people. None of them. If you've been out marching in these streets, exercising your right, you need to exercise your right to vote, said Ludacris. And that I do believe. I do believe that you need to exercise your right to vote. You need to choose whoever is best for you, and that is who you vote for. But I don't. Oh, how do you join a stream? I want y'all to join. We can do it one together. I'm not a fan. You guys know I'm not a fan, and I'm dissatisfied that I'm not going to go on a tangent or a soapbox. I just would like to say I hate the fact that we have allowed us to get to where we are. We have no one else to blame but us. The choices that we have is our fault. And I will leave that there. Record-breaking California wildfires surpassed 4 million acres. So forgive my ignorance, right? I don't understand why we don't. So we have the ability to take helicopters that take water from the ocean and pour it into the wildfires. Why is that not happening all day, every day? Like multiple, like 15 different helicopters. Why are we allowing it to just burn? Again, forgive my ignorance. Maybe they are doing that thing. Hey, Barbara, how you doing, Miss Sneed? I have a question. Like, how is it that there's not a consistent line of helicopter with these big bags of water and just letting it loose. Let's say we are unable to stop the fire. But if I wet ahead of the fire, and it's going to take longer for it to light on fire, because now all this wood is wet, the leaves are wet, the ground is wet, so I can push it back a little bit. And then since it's being held back a little because all of this water exists, then we douse the actual fire. When I was looking it up, I was doing my due diligence. I was like, why is they're not consistently trying to put this fire out? We understand that firefighters on the ground are not going to be able to extinguish these fires on their own. There should be a never-ending 24 hours a day line of bringing this water in and dousing it, not one at a time. How are you going to let 15 acres burn and then for one helicopter come and put a little water on it? It's not going to do any. I don't know. Again, I talk about common sense, and to me, this just makes common. 1 million acres, we're just going to let 1 million acres burn. I'm just saying. It just sounds so simple. Well, it costs a lot of money. Guess what? There's a lot of millionaires in California. This is their MEMA, their version of MEMA. When we have hurricanes, we have money set aside for emergency response, the Massachusetts emergency response. And then we also have FEMA to step in, federal emergency response. You don't think they have a CalMA, California emergency response? They don't have no money to do this? They spent it all on earthquakes. That's what it was. Body cam footage of a police dog mauling a black man is released. Police officers on site failed to provide first aid to the victim. In July of 2018, an innocent black man, Joseph Lee Petaway, was mauled by a patrol dog. Police allowed their dog to tear apart the body of a 51-year-old black man after he was mistaken for a burglar. This week, the family secured the body camera footage of the incident after filing a subpoena. The family also wants some of the footage to be publicly entered into evidence, fighting the confidential designation of the video. The incident, which happened in Montgomery, Alabama, occurred after someone called the police on Petaway and his sister, Yvonne Petaway Frazee, after the two were on their way to their mother's house. I saw it with my own eyes, said the sister, Petaway Frazee. His flesh was all on the ground that morning. The family filed a lawsuit to get justice. Documents say that Officer Nicholas Barber, the dog's handler, stood there and watched for nearly 2 minutes as the dog tore up Petaway's flesh. Despite Mr. Petaway's obvious and profuse bleeding and his apparent going into shock, no policeman examines or evaluates Petaway's wound. No policeman administers any of the most basic, essential, obvious, and immediately required care to stem or reduce his bleeding. The family is shown with all of his cousins, his mom, his sisters, asking, demanding justice. Another officer allegedly asked Barber if Petaway got a bite, and if Barber replied, F yeah. Despite him getting badly injured by the canine, the document also reports that many police officers on site failed to provide first aid. It was even reported that they were joking and took pictures of Petaway's dead body. Lizzie Mae Petaway, Petaway's 87-year-old mother, wants justice. They stood up there and let the dog kill him, she said. And this is, if you watch the one in Florida, Rosewood, if you watch Django, if you this was sport once upon a time. It was nothing for a dog to maul a black man and for it to be acceptable. They need to pay for what they did. If someone had killed a dog, they would have made my son pay for it. They stand there and held a conversation after letting the dog chew him to pieces like he was meat and then watched him bleed to death. Absolutely. I want all the cops involved to be not only arrested, but to be held for the crime of murder. Pompadour Johnson, 23. Shout out to you. It's time for more than just police reform. This isn't reform. How do you there's nothing on the books that says it is okay for police to stand by. This is mentality. This is beliefs. I don't know if you guys remember the story that I read last Friday, but it brings me to bear that they questioned medical students, and out of questioning these medical students, they found that 1 in every 3 medical students believe these false beliefs about black people versus white people, that black people have higher pain receptors, that when they are in pain, they're really complaining, that like all of these things that once upon a time, Dr. Joy DeGruy wrote a book on it, post-traumatic slave syndrome, and how all of these doctors in the past who were not even doctors, never had an MD, never had an RN, but gave themselves the title doctor, are the reason why, including the gynecologist that went ahead and experimented on black women. He is like the father of gynecology. They gave him the honor of like the OBGYN, the beginning of the OBGYN era. Like, because of him, we understand the feminine body. But the truth of the matter is, he performed multiple hysterectomies, removing of the, like, not just the uterus, but removing of the ovaries, all without any type of topical or local or overall anesthetic, painkillers, anything, and watched black women screaming for their life. It's sick. We don't need reform. Reform is not what's needed. Like rebuilding, knock that MF down like the World Trade Center was and rebuilt it. That's what needs to happen. Post-traumatic slave syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Black men treated like nonsense. I've been in the court for 3 years. First offense, like I killed somebody. Then they found me not guilty. And then again, I've been found not guilty. Research, Alfred Charles Kingsley of the Kingsley Institute in Indiana University. He was funded by a Rockefeller and the U.S. government. So I will do that when I am off air and then circle back. But I believe you. Like, I know for a fact that when it comes to policy, when it comes to medical professions, when it, like, all of this is part of a larger, we have to understand that at some point in time, going back to the beginning, in the beginning, all the way in the beginning, all of these systems were built on purpose. When we left slavery, went into sharecropping, we were like, yo, how we gonna go ahead and get these Negroes to be slaves? Oh, okay. You can only be a slave if you are incarcerated. All right. How do we incarcerate them? Oh, you're outside and the sun is down. You're not supposed to be outside when the sun is down. Come here, Negro. I'm putting you in jail. Like, smallest offenses, littlest offenses. You were outside, and since I can't throw you in jail, I'm going to tax you for being outside. Aren't you supposed to be at work? You don't have a job? I'm going to tax you because you don't have a job, and I'm going to tax you because you're supposed to be at work. So now I'm double taxing you, and you have no way to pay this tax, and so I'm just going to imprison you for debtor's court. Like, all of this is a long laundry list of practices that were put in place on purpose to perpetuate the slavery system that they did not want broken in the first place. When the slavers got money for funds that were taken away from them, yet 40 acres and a mule is still not a thing, that is a problem. All of this is a problem. Grand jury audio detail raids that killed Breonna Taylor. Fear and confusion that played out after midnight at Taylor's Louisville home was detailed in a 15-hour audio recording. Police say they knocked and announced themselves for a minute before bursting into Breonna Taylor's apartment, but her boyfriend said that he did not hear officers identify themselves. According to grand jury recordings released on Friday, in the hail of gunfire that ensued, the 26-year-old black woman was killed. He said, had he heard them, it changes the whole situation. There's nothing for us to be scared of. Had they heard the police were coming in, first and foremost, I don't know how y'all sleep, but I sleep like the dead. You could bang on my door. You could knock on my door. The phone could be by my head. You could have called me 100 times. I did not hear you. I wasn't going to hear you until you kick in my door, startle me out of my sleep, and then if my reflexes are fast enough, I'm going to shoot you in the head. Like, that is, I don't understand how this is even a conversation. Why is it even acceptable? I don't know nobody except for my daddy that you call their name and they wake up. Banging on the door, I wish banging on the door woke up my kids. There were many a times I got locked out the house and had to wait for these to wake up because banging on the door does nothing. And so for them to be like, I banged on the door at 1 a.m. and you didn't answer, why are raids and warrants should not be done in the middle of the night when people are asleep? You don't know how people sleep. You don't know if they have a sleep apnea machine on their head. They can't even hear you. There's so, about the Breonna Taylor case, we are making it, you murdered someone. And now you going to court to try and get money out of anybody who calls you a murderer. Listen, I don't care. Somebody made a comment. I'm going to say this. I don't care if she sold drugs, her boyfriend sold drugs. I don't care if both of them were the biggest drug dealers in their neighborhood. I don't care if they were the biggest drug dealers in the state. There is nothing that they could have done that would have merited her being shot in the middle of the night, period. When the people who blow up churches, when people who shoot up churches, when people who shoot in large crowds are still apprehended and brought to justice in the form of the court system, there is no reason why you would have thought my cell phone was a gun. You would have thought me being in the middle of the night scared you. You don't need to... None of that. None of that is acceptable. None of that is okay. Bring me to court. Lock me up. Take the trial. Take it to trial every time. I'm not. Like, there's no reason why anybody deserves to die. You are not the judge, jury, executioner. This is not 1922. This is not the Wild Wild West. There are not wanted posters, dead or alive. That was not the situation. That's not the case. I don't care if they have every drug, any drug that ever existed in the house with 15 different guns. No-knock warrants need to be illegal when it comes to white people. They get to turn themselves in. This is the evidence that we are presenting. We believe you're guilty. Please bring yourself in. You have 24 hours to walk yourself in. How that work? How did that work? You get to bring yourself in, but you just gonna kill me? That's fine. Carlos, I believe Carlos said, if you sell drugs, warrants come with it. Guess what does not come with it, Carlos? Bullets by police. Typically, if you're a drug dealer and bullets come with it, it's people trying to steal from you, people trying to rob you. Oh, like Carlito. Okay. Carlitos. I got you. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody on Tagged. This 12-year-old, in the midst of all of this horrible news, we do have good news. And this 12-year-old just entered his second year of college, majoring in aerospace. I love these kids because this new generation, you can't tell them what they can't do. We got ads and everything else in the wood. Give me a second, y'all. Move. Okay, this won't go away. What if I refresh it? There we go. As we started to engage with other parents, we found that our 9-month-old was learning to sign more than 250 words. He eventually learned to speak, and when he learned to read when he was 11 months old. Aside from the English language, he also learned Spanish, French, Mandarin. Caleb's parents, Claire and Kobe, knew he was special from the very beginning and supported him then. As we started to interact with other parents and had other children, we started to realize how exceptional his experience was because he had no other frame of reference. At the age of 3, Caleb qualified for Mensa. He joined at the age of 5, making him the youngest African-American boy to be accepted at that time. I am ignorant, so I need to go ahead and Google Mensa so we have a better understanding of what it is. Mensa is the largest and oldest high IQ society in the world. It is a nonprofit organization to help people who score in the 98th percentile or higher on standardized supervised IQ or other approved intelligent tests. So now you know. It was exactly how I expected it to be. Caleb said, like if he was 18 or something. Caleb has 2 other younger siblings, Aaron and Hannah, who are also gifted. Their parents are all proud of all 3 of them. Moreover, Caleb is set to graduate at the age of 14. He says he's continue to study at Georgia Tech as well as MIT. So I think this is huge. 12 years old. Shout out to Caleb Anderson, starting his 2nd year in college, majoring in aerospace engineering. So shout out to the babies. They are super intelligent. You just got to invest in them. Groups donate fish to a coalition of coastal communities experiencing a record low of sockeye salmon. It was a very unusual sight. Thousands of pounds of salmon being flown into coastal Alaskan communities that typically fish for salmon themselves. The cargo was outside relief effort meant to help provide support in the form of food for an area long viewed as abundant with fish. And so there was 45,000 pounds of Bristol Bay sockeye as part of the new nonprofit initiative set by 2 Southeast Alaskan fishing organizations. And so the problem is that I don't know if you guys, I'm a huge documentarian buff, so I love documentaries. And one of the documentaries that I was watching in the last month was talking about overfishing and how we have overfished our seas, and that a lot of we are not giving the fish time to, what's that thing called? Procreate. We're not giving them enough time to have babies, for those babies to grow and for those babies to procreate, and we keep overfishing. And one of the reasons why we're overfishing is because a lot of the places where we used to fish is so saturated with plastic that we can no longer fish in these areas. And since we can no longer fish in these areas because they were overpopulated with all of our garbage and all of our trash and all of our forks and utensils and eat out cutlery and styrofoam this and none of this, even when you rinse it out and you think you're putting it into recycling, none of it goes into recycling, baby. All of that nonsense goes straight into your oceans. And so since it's going into the oceans, there's part of the oceans that we can no longer even fish in. We're now fishing in areas that are off limits to fishing, that we're typically not supposed to be fishing in, and this is causing an overfishing in a population that is now dying. And so long story short, we are creating more of a problem for ourselves by not figuring out a solution. Burning trash hurts the ozone layer. Burying it hurts our water supply. Throwing it in the ocean sounds like a great idea. So did our white walls. Once upon a time, we used to throw all of our tires in the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of Florida. We were like, oh, just throw them in the ocean. And back in the late 70s, we had to go back and take out millions because we didn't realize how much damage we were actually doing. And so now I feel like it's the same thing. We did not understand throwing all of these white wall tires into the ocean was doing damage to the water supply. And now here we are years later throwing trash, garbage, plastic into the ocean, and it is affecting us in more ways than one, and we're doing absolutely nothing about it. And so hopefully you would just be more mindful. I know it's super difficult. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend. Pompadour Johnson, the system is designed to keep Black Americans at the bottom. It's I'm white and I say so logic. Hey Allah, how are you? A lot of the store fish can be lab made or farm breed. That is very true. And if you take a look at when you do order seafood from a supermarket, it'll tell you farmed raised. It'll tell you that it's freshly caught. Now, when it comes to farm raised, so I shop a lot at Market Basket, and I am okay with the, what is it? It's farm raised. It's like not Ireland. New Zealand. So a lot of the fish from Market Basket is New Zealand farm raised. So it's out in the ocean. They have these like big, huge nets, contained nets, and this is where the fish are being farm raised, into the ocean, and not in a pond or stream, not being fed corn. And that's a real thing. Like, do your due diligence. A lot of these fish are fed corn. Fish would never see corn a day in the light ever, but yet they are eating it. A lot of the salmons, a lot of the, what is the fish that I would never eat because it's not a real thing? Tilapia. Tilapia is man-made. So everybody eating tilapia, just be mindful that that is not a real fish. If God is to smite the earth today, tilapia will not be back because it's not a real thing. They made it in a lab because it's abundant, like it gets really big really quickly, and it doesn't need all of this incubation time that your cod needs or your salmon needs. I read an article over 5 years ago where salmon was made in a lab, and it's like actual salmon was never a fish, was never alive, but we are creating this meat, lab meat. There's a lot of meat that you have even this beef, a lot of this beef is not real. A lot of it's put together with meat glues. And when you take a look at a steak and you're like, oh, that's a really big steak. Nah, baby, that's 15 pieces of steak glued together. I removed myself from all of that. Right now, I eat vegetables, starch, and seafood, and that is the extent of my diet. Now, if I could stop eating cookies and candy, I'm a cookies and candy and cupcakes. My fat ass loves something sweet. We coming to the top of the hour. I just really quickly want to get through these news so we can go to Motivational Monday, baby. Today is not about you. I just want to let you know today is not about you. There's a lot of things as far as motivation is concerned that I need. So I will be looking at you, but I really will be talking to myself because I need rejuvenation in my life at this very moment in time. I need to rejuvenate my faith, rejuvenate my the sun is about to start going down. super early. The sun barely don't even want to come out right now. I need the sun in my life. And when I don't have sun, I get depressed easily. And we as melanated people, that is a problem that we all have, especially in the Northeast. We have a vitamin D deficiency. And one of the problems that a lot of people have no idea of is vitamin D deficiency is a form, like you feel like you are super depressed and have no idea why. And it's only because you need sun. Because you need vitamin D, you're over here like, woe with me, my life sucks, everything in my world sucks, my kids are bad, I'm fat, I'm not making enough money at work. And the truth of the matter is none of that is true. You just need some sun. It's like being hangry, and then once you eat, you're good. During these times, you may need your doctor to supplement you with vitamin D. You might, and I'm not saying like do not drink milk. That is not the answer. That is not the solution. But get vitamin D vitamins or a multi-purpose vitamin that has like extra vitamin D in it. A lot of people think that they are super depressed in the winter, and it's not. Franken meat, yes, that's what it is. Franken meat, as far as like the salmon is concerned, and all of the tilapias and everything else that is made. Whenever you think that you are truly depressed, just sit in front of the window and get as much sun as you possibly can. And a lot of the problems that you think are problems will dissipate, will immediately disappear, because your body just simply needed some sun. Mail-in ballots from Black North Carolina voters rejected 4 times the rate of white voters. We're seeing an already lack of familiarity with the process. And so I know here in the city of Boston, when we had the at-large race, I was one of the counters for the Julia Mejia recount. And so one of the things that I learned is if you don't color the Bible, oh Lord, if you don't color the bubble incorrectly, your ballot can be rejected. So if you're over here voting and you like scribble in a little black mark here and it looks ineligible, like I don't know if you really had your pen there and the ink bled, or did you really mean to fill in that bubble? When you don't fill in that bubble entirely and they can't say for sure that you voted for this person or you voted for this number, because some of these questions are numbered, then they will completely reject it. And instead of guessing what you meant, they'll just throw it away. For Black voters in North Carolina, the rate of mail-in ballot rejections is 4 times higher than those of white voters. Early voting is underway in the state, and many Black residents are seeing their mail-in ballots returned for inconsistencies such as mismatched signatures or missing witness signatures. Many voters doubt that the ballot review lacks information about race, and that was, I don't know if you guys paid attention to the census this year, but if you hold on, I'm not gonna even census. I can't spell for real, right? Yep, census 2020. What is that thing called? Geographic gender confusion? No. What is it called? It's not geographics. Race question. We'll keep it simple. What do I put for ethnicity? The revised standards contain 5 minimum categories for race: American Indian or Native Alaskan, Asian, Black, African American, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, and white. There are 2 categories for ethnicity: Spanish or Latino, and not Hispanic or Latino. And so one of the most annoying things on this is when it asked if you were white, one of the things that they gave as an example of white people was Moroccan, Egyptian. What? You literally are Black. Like literally your skin is like, how are you a dark-skinned Moroccan checking off white? Because the racial and ethnic categories the Office of Management and Budget issued the revisions to the standards for classification of federal data on race and ethnicity in 1997. These standards are commonly used for federal data collection purposes. Not only is for the decennial census, but also in the household surveys, on administration forms, as far as school registration, mortgage lending applications, and the medical and clinical research. The revised standards contain 5 minimum categories, and those are the ones that I read off. And I think it's dumb. It's absolutely stupid. And like, there's no other word for it. Can we start over? For me, I hate it because how do you tell, like, for instance, if you can claim that you're white and have, like, you can be Latin white or you can be Latin black. When you fill out some of these forms online and you're like, please click one, it's just like, but why can't I click black and Latino? Why do I have to pick one? I am not separate from these two things, but you can only pick one. So these are the problems at hand when it comes to the census. It is what it is. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Motivational Monday, and I'm going to motivate myself, and y'all could just listen. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. I be here, therapy with Tayla. Not wake up with Tayla, therapy with Tayla. We're going to take a quick break. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. We'll be right back. Y'all don't leave. We'll be right here. I got to charge this damn computer. It's okay to keep the whole population, the majority, everybody except blacks can mark themselves as white on the census. Pretty much, I'm about to be white too. I already told my lender when it's time to get a new one. I'm gonna be white on my mortgage applications. I am cold. I am sleepy. I am tired. I's a lot of things. What? I don't eat meat. Because I know you. It's most likely an Italian sub with extra hots. Exactly. Exactly. Oh. All right, let me plug in this computer so we can go. What? How long does that last? What? This about to last a whole 2 months. I'm not doing my.
So tonight, listen, my new thing.
I don't want to know nothing.
No, you do.
You are live. Don't say nothing you don't want to say live.
I'm not, but this Italian stuff is right. And I'm the soda.
I don't know why you paid anything. Your makeup don't look like you did nothing to it.
$55. I'll never have.
Clearly. Nigga, hold on. Let me be a little transparent, right? I ate so many fucking edibles yesterday. Yo, I'm still fucked up from yesterday, babe. Yo, I had gummies. That's why I was like, yo, don't eat that fucking cupcake. The fuck you doing? Yeah, them shit is mad expensive, babe. Anari's ass did eat it. I'm gonna whoop his ass when I get home. I'm so tired of him. You can drink that whatever you want to. I don't know where them pipes been. Listen, your ass would have been in the hospital last night had you fucking ate a damn cupcake. Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Today is the day that the Lord hath made. I am rejoiced and glad in it. We are talking about Motivational Monday, and sometimes you just need to just woo-saw, start over, refresh. Start over. Controlling your tongue. Controlling your tongue. We have so many conversations all of the time about how important it is to be mindful of your words and controlling your tongue and not saying things that you truly don't mean and not creating space in your life for things to happen. And so we do not realize more often than not how much the things that we say, the things that we think about truly alter how we live our lives. And so let's say, for instance, you are like, I hate my job. I can't stand my kids. I wish my husband would just die. Like, those things are like, sometimes you say these things, we don't mean them. I wish these kids would go play in traffic. We don't mean it. I'm gonna punch you in your throat. Sometimes we don't mean it. The sentiment may be there, but we truly don't want these things that we say all of the time about people, about ourselves. Like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be able to make enough money, or we limit ourselves. You were put on earth to flourish and to prosper and to live a good life, but the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we think about the life that we live, we do not invest or pour into ourselves in order for us to maintain or to create the goodness that we deserve. And so I just am I'm talking to me, y'all just here for listen, because it's not just me and it's not just my words. Controlling your tongue is difficult. I know in Proverbs, I don't know these by heart, so I had to look it up. In Proverbs 13:3, whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. Whoever opens wide his lips comes to ruin. And a lot of times we ruin ourselves. We do not guard our mouth. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and we are forever killing ourselves. We are forever, the double-edged sword that lives within our mouth is the reason why we live in the situations that we live in. James 3:1-12 says, "Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. For we all stumble in many ways, and if no one does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle his whole body. If we put into bits into the mouths of horses so they will obey us, we guide their whole bodies as well. Look at the ships also. Though that are large and driven by strong winds, they are also guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. And so also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts great things. How great a forest is, yet set ablaze such a small fire." And so we discussed that today when we talked about the wildfires, over 1 million acres gone, burnt down in California. And even though that small fire took out so many acres, our tongue, the same, can put us in positions that we truly do not want to be in, that we do not accept. How many times, including myself, laying in bed thinking of nonsensical nonsense, like being an actor in a play that you don't even want to happen. Transparency. Last night I had, like, you know, before you dream, like the dream, before you actually fall asleep, you let your mind wander a little bit. And I let my mind wander to this like path of ruin. And it was just like, whatever, you know, what if something happened to Baby Rain? What would I do if something happened to Baby Rain? And then I'm taking myself down this like spiral of not even like possibility, because it's not even a possibility, because the initial thought wasn't even real in the first place. And so how many times have you played it out in your head and it wasn't a scenario that you actually wanted to engage in? Think for 5 seconds, because I can tell you 1,000,001 how many times I thought my house was going to be broken into. What am I going to bust this person in the head with? How am I going to shoot them? Where am I going to shoot them? What am I going to throw at them? Where am I hiding the kids? Like, I don't want to think about these things. These are things that I'm, you know, actively engaging in because I want to see how it plays out. No, it's like a thought that comes in my head, and instead of stopping it right then and there, because we already did the what if somebody kicks in the door situation. So why am I thinking of all of these alternative scenarios that aren't even real? How many times have you met somebody and you thought they were the love of your life, and you done played out your entire marriage, the wedding, the kids, the meeting, the stepmom, godmother, grandmother, like all that. Like, you over here envisioning stuff that is not really real and putting yourself in a position to be disappointed. At the end of the day, that's truly all it is. Putting yourself in a position to be disappointed because in your mind you played out this scenario that is not a real scenario, that does not have real players. Your thoughts cannot control what comes out of somebody else's mouth. Control your thoughts. It's okay for in that moment for you to stop. Like, this isn't what I want to think about. This is not real. This is not what I want to lead. This is not the path that I want to lead my mind down. How many times had you had to stop the thoughts that you were having and dead in their tracks? And how many of us don't stop those thoughts at all? And we go down that extremely slippery slope of what if? The slippery slope of what if this person said this and I said that? How many times have you gotten into like an argument or a disagreement? Somebody cut you off in traffic, and all of a sudden you having a conversation about what would have happened if they got out the car, you got out the car, and y'all had words. But mind you, they cut you off in traffic over 25 minutes ago. They're gone about their day, but you still wondering and having this mind conversation with you and this person. You don't even know their name. You get into an argument with somebody at your job. Now all of a sudden you in the bed wondering, like, if they would have said something to me, I would have said, you would have said what? That was like 8 hours ago. Sharon, that was 8 hours ago. Becky is at home with her family eating dinner. You over here thinking about if she looked at you the wrong way, had she came to your desk. You causing problems for yourself. You causing like these, and again, though this is not your tongue per se letting you come out of your mouth and say these things, this is still your mind having control over your mind, being able to stop yourself from thinking thoughts that you really don't want to think, that you don't want to come into fruition. And then once you like you keep replaying these things in your head. After you replay these things in your head, you now have this entire inner monologue that you want to say, that you want to share. And you replaying it over and over again. How is this helping you with whatever it is you're actually trying to accomplish in life? Again, I told you I'm talking to myself. Y'all just here for the ride. Seriously, I know I cannot be the only one. I could be transparent. I could tell y'all, like, I go down this slippery slope of lies, deceit that happen in my head, conversations that are not real, relationships that go nowhere. Like, the relationship is going nowhere. But yet, in my head, we best friends. Yeah, this person don't even know my name. That's great if you're building your house in your head, you're building your infrastructure of your life, you're building your business plan, you're building your clientele. In your head, these are all the things that, if I have the opportunity to present in front of Mark Cuban, these are the things that I would say. If I had the opportunity to be in front of Shark Tank, these are the things that I would do. It's a completely different ideology. It's a completely different your brain does not know the difference. So if I'm thinking in my head about knocking an Ari out and beating the kids, if I'm over here planning on beating the kids and that's all I can't get. I'm excited. I can't wait to get home. I'm going to show them who's boss. They're going to listen to me now. Versus your mind doesn't know the difference. There was a study that was done on athletes, and they put all of these like beakers on their head and beakers on their body, and it's just like, okay, now pretend you're running. And so these athletes in their head are running. Their body doesn't know the difference. Their muscles don't know the difference. Their brain and their muscles think that they're actually doing this thing, think that they're actually running even though they're not. Their muscles are responding as if they were running, but yet they are staying still. Your mind doesn't know the difference between whether this thing is real or not. So whatever it is that you're thinking, your brain thinks it is real, even though you know it's not. You're having a fake conversation with absolutely no one. You're going down this memory lane that I created that's not really factual, that was like all daydreamed up. But in your mind, it's real. That's why some people can come out here and tell you a whole lie and end up believing the lie. They replayed it so many times in their head that it's a real thing. Did you do this thing? No, not at all. I didn't do it. I never did it. Hold on, I may have engaged in that thing. You can lie yourself into believing whatever it is that you want to believe. You tell yourself that lie. You continue to believe it. Somebody's gonna try and disprove this thing that you believe to be true, and your feelings gonna be hurt because you Your brain is so amazing that you done changed the truth into a lie. And there's a lot of people on earth that believe their lies. Their brain is just that magnificent that they could tell you a lie and believe it. Take a polygraph and everything and pass because they believe the lie that they've been telling themselves. I'm a good mom. I'm a good mom. I'm a good mom. You truly believe you're a good mom. What's going on? Eat soggy waffles, Brianna. We talking about controlling your mind. We're talking about controlling your tongue. We're going through some of these scriptures and what scripture says about controlling your tongue. Proverbs, life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those that love it will eat from its fruits. And there's a lot of people that use the power of their tongue for death. They speak death into other people's life. That's for me, personally, that's a form of spell. Like, you're never going to amount to anything. You're not good enough. You haven't, even when you speak these things to your children, how many times are you like, yo, stop singing. Your ass can't sing. And now all of a sudden the 4 agreements, that's what it was. I was trying to figure out where I got that analogy from. And so in the 4 agreements, it talks about how you need to be impeccable with your word and be mindful of the words that come out of your mouth, and to remember that the things that you say affect those around you. And so it was talking about a mom who had a really long day at work. She comes home and the baby just wants to sing, and the baby just wants to dance, and the baby just wants to Mom, look at me, pay me attention, like children do, as they should. And the mom is just getting so annoyed and so frustrated, and the little girl's just singing and singing and singing. The mom's like, yo, stop singing. You can't sing. It's horrible. It's giving me a headache. And so now the little girl grows up, and every time she wants to sing, she remembers that one day her mom had a bad day and told her that she couldn't sing, and that her singing gives people headaches. And so now this beautiful voice is being held in, and not she is not herself. She's not the whole human, sharing her full experience of what life is. She's not singing. She's not joyful. She's not, her freest self, because of this one day her mom had a bad day and told her that you cannot sing. You give me a headache. And so now this little girl grows up and has that. We're wondering, why are you so shy? Why won't you share? Why won't you, would all of a sudden you don't sing? I had to do a really deep dive personally, because I remember when Anari was little and he was playing baseball, and I was so into it because he was so into it, and I'm like, yeah, hit the ball. And when Anari got older, he was like, Mom, I can't have you at my games. You stress me out at my games. I feel like I'm not good enough at the games. I feel like you want me to be this great player, and I just wanted him to be the great player I knew him to be. I didn't want him to be anything extra for me. He wasn't proving anything for me, but I put so much pressure on him playing baseball that he no longer wanted to play baseball. I am the reason, and it was a really that one was a hard pill to swallow, to realize that I was the reason that Anari wanted to stop playing baseball, because I put so much emphasis on the game and pushed him to something. He was like, nah, this isn't even fun for me no more. And it's not just kid stuff, though. Pompadour Johnson said that's true. Kids remember stuff, but it's not just kids. Because if I, as an adult, having a conversation with my parents, and I'm telling my parents about all of these things that I'm engaging with, and my father hits me with you're wasting your time, nobody wants to read your book, that would have deterred me from actually writing the book and engaging with people and wanting to be an author and wanting to share information. people in general and people as a whole take your word, especially if you don't know the weight of your word, if you don't know how much somebody truly believes in you, somebody who honors you, someone who respects you, someone who looks up to you, and you tell them like, and it doesn't even have to be a mentee type situation. It could just be one of the kids' friends comes over to the house and is like, I want to be a doctor. And I'm like, yo, you're dumb as hell. Like, I've heard you do math problems. Like, how do you cannot be a doctor. Like, I've seen you do homework, B. You're far from never becoming a doctor. It's just, and if one of my children's friends looks up to me and honors me and I'm telling them that you'll never be a doctor, damn, okay, I guess I'll never be a doctor. If one of my friends hits me with like, I think I want to go to such and such school, and I'm like, yo, you sound stupid. Like, how many times do we tell our friends how dumb they are for wanting to, you have a really good job. You make $25 an hour. You have dope health insurance. Your husband makes good money. Like, why would you guys want to quit your jobs and start a business? And now a business that could have made them multi-million dollars a year, you done talked your friend out of following their dream because of what you too scared to do for yourself. Because you still count on your hands. Listen, I do to like 8, 9, 10, 11. Listen. To their own self be true. I suck in math too, B. But imagine me going to somebody whose weight means more than gold and telling them a dream and telling them, whatever it is that I share with them, and them turning around and saying, that's not something you can do. We are not mindful of our words at all. When we're driving in traffic, we be like, you stupid B, that's why I hope you get into an accident and hit somebody. Like, we use our words on the daily for people to die, for people to not prosper, for people to not live their best life. You don't think that comes with karma as well? You don't think you have karma for the words that you've spoken? And sometimes our words have unintended consequences. Well, I didn't mean it like that. Well, it was taken like that. Well, I didn't mean that you'll never be anything. I just meant like in this thing that you were trying to do, it wasn't the best thing for you to do. How you know what's best for me? First Peter 3:10, for whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. James 3:6, and the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell. Now, I read these as guidance. I do not read them because I wholeheartedly believe them and think that you should be living your life by them. But I do believe that power of life and death is in the tongue, and too many of us murder people on the daily with our words. And so we do have to be mindful. And we do, like, a gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perversiveness in it breaks the spirit. We do break spirits every single day, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. When words are many, transgressions is not lacking, but whoever restrains his lips is prudent. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know you ought to answer how you may answer each person. Like, also, the tongue is a small member. It boasts great things, and you can either lift somebody up, you can speak life. How many times do you, this is something that I never understood, when people are like, pray for me. I don't know if you want everyone praying for you, because not everyone means you well. So while you're asking others to pray for you, you don't know how they're praying for you. Asking for a prayer, it could, listen, I pray all the time. I pray all the time. Like, I hope the president, like, not all prayers are good. Just because somebody prays for you doesn't mean their intentions for your life are blessings. Some people pray for your downfall. Some people pray for you to move out the way so they can feel like they're stepping into their greatness. You want to know the meanest thing we used to say as kids? I know you are, but what am I? That was the meanest thing you could say as a kid. And one of the things that we didn't understand as a child is what that really meant. I know you are, but what am I? Whatever it is that you say I am is really what you are, because your perception of me is nothing but a projection of what you feel about yourself. And many times your family members don't want you to do this thing that you want to do, that you are so excited about, because it's not something they can perceive themselves doing. It's not something they can see themselves doing. It's not something that they believe that they are capable of doing. And if I can't do it, and I've done all these things, and I am this amazing person, trust and believe you are incapable of this greatness. And we allow people to fill us or to deplete us in all of our, sometimes you feel really, really good. You wake up, you're energized, you about to take on life, and someone speaks these ill will words. And now all of a sudden you feel defeated. While somebody doesn't know how to maintain their tongue, you need to be able to protect yourself from the words other people speak. You don't have to believe everything that everyone says about you. There's this book called What You Say About Me Is Not My Business. And I read the book a while back, but the premise of the book is basically it's none of your bit unless somebody come to you and say to you, these are the things that I do not like, and I'm telling you this because I want to see you improve. I want to see you be a better person. Then none of that matters. What you say about me is not my business. You gossiping, running your mouth, telling this person and that person about me, telling them about what you heard, telling them about what you think, that is not my business. I don't care. I don't care. I've never cared. But some of us are so, we are so careful and so mindful of what do people think about me? How do people feel about me? That you don't even know how you feel about yourself, because you over here absorbing what other people feel and think about you. You have to protect yourself and know who you are, know your worth, know that not everyone is going to have your vision and being able to see clearly. I cannot put on Anari's glasses and see the way that he sees. His glasses are not going to give me 20/20 vision. My grandmother's glasses are not going to give me 20/20 vision. My daddy's readers are not going to give me 20/20 visions. You cannot expect someone else's spectacles to see your vision clearly. That's not the way it works. Sometimes you need to just shut up. Stop sharing your dreams and your goals with people who do not have vision. There's some people out here that are absolutely blind. You think that their glasses are giving them a 20/20 vision, when the truth of the matter is those things are painted black. They can't see nothing. Nothing. And so you're over here taking advice and believing in and trusting in people that cannot see. Never mind see your vision, see your goals. You over here getting advice from someone who never started a business. No. Starting a business isn't for you. Well, I'm kind of confused on why I even asked you, because you don't have a business. I don't know why I asked you, should I do this thing? Because this isn't the thing that you do. This isn't your specialty. Why? Why do we ask people whose specialty it is not for advice? It's like science teacher. Dude, how did you end up teaching science? You're the gym teacher. Why am I learning life science from you? It's like the business teacher that does not own a business. Like, how are you here teaching me how to get my MBA and you're not an entrepreneur? These are the things that we do as humans. It's like taking driving lessons from the blind. Like, how? But we do it. That's how we conduct ourselves. Hey, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And I know it's probably one of my favorite Motivational Mondays because it's a reminder. We always need a reminder. We need to remember how important our tongue is. We need to remember that it is a double-edged sword. If you want to speak life, if you want to speak goodness, baby, I want you to have, everything all encompassing. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel good. I want abundance to follow you, for love and light to exude from you, for joy to be coming out of every crevice of you. Like I wish for peace and prosperity, for joy, for you to be able to have little to no effort but still be paid abundantly, for you to be able to be blessed just being you, to be a blessing to others by simply being you. For your words to be heard, for your voice to be clear, for your mind to be able to know how to execute properly. I do the ABCs with Baby Rain before he goes to sleep. I do his ABCs. You are an amazing young man. You are brave and bold. You are courageous and determined. Like going through A through Z of what he is as a man. And maybe at 2 years old, he's not exactly these things yet. But I'm going to speak into him everything that I know him to be. Of course, he can be an a-hole. Of course, he can act like a bastard. Of course, he can be a criminal. Like, you could say all these things. How many times you call your kids names on a regular basis? You stupid MF. You little NIG. Like, people disrespect their kids on a regular basis. You're so annoying. You're a brat. You're so bad. That's investing into them kids too. That's what you're pouring into that child. All those words that you just said, you're so stupid. What do you mean you don't know 5 times 3? As dumb as your daddy. What are you wearing? You look like a whore like your mother. Like, these things stick with children, with young people, with adults. Are you going outside to do whorish things with your friends? What? We're going for drinks. How you talk to people, oh, my baby mama, hey, Julia Mahia, my city councilor at large. All of this matters. How you speak to people, how you pour into others, how you speak to yourself. How do you talk to yourself? Do you call yourself fat? Do you call yourself ugly? Do you not appreciate who you are as your beautiful self? I'll never amount to anything. I'll never be a great author. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. What do you mean never? You better take the N off and say ever. I will forever. I will forever be learning. I will forever be. Losers want to give people advice about success. Whew, that was a harsh one. That hit hard for someone. When's the last time you poured into someone? One of the things that I hate is like the nothing ass. ass. Like, you're nothing ass. You'll never be able to. Especially when you get mad and that tongue gets sharper and you could cut people all the way down. How many people, like I got cousins for days that their tongues could literally kill someone, like literally make someone kill themselves. Because my cousins are ignorant as what? We could be ignorant. We could speak life to you all day. We could lift you up all day. But that same tongue can turn around and cut you, slice you down to nothing. And you just have to be mindful. How are you going to continue using your tongue in the future? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you were ignorant. Maybe you were unsure. Maybe you weren't, certain of spelling and how spelling works and how words work and how life and death truly can come out of your mouth. Maybe you were completely ignorant and today was your wake-up call. How do you speak to yourself in the future? How do you speak to the children in the future? How do you speak to your spouse in the future? How do you speak life into your relationships? How do you speak life into your work? How do you speak life into your business? How you speak about yourself, how you speak about your circumstances, your situation, how things were in the past doesn't mean that's how they need to stay. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? How are you going to motivate yourself to be the better, whatever that is? Fill in the blank. You don't have to have all the answers, but you definitely have to try. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and He was in the beginning with God. I don't know who He is, but He was in the beginning with God, the Word. All things were made through Him, and without Him was not anything made that was. In my head, what that just said was, in the beginning, there was the Word. And there was nothing that was created without the Word. And so whatever it is that you want to create in your world is in the Word. What words are you going to use to create your future? I mean that. Let's use these words right now. You can go ahead and text them. You can put them in the comment box. You can use them and send a text message to your kids. Start using this time. Now you know, knowing's half the battle. What words are you going to use? What words are creative words? You know what? I'm not just going to ask you. We're going to do this. Creative words. Creative words to manifest. I like that. Creative words to manifest. Wanting to, willing, powerful secret to manifesting your dreams. And you know what we'll do? We'll go ahead and continue this for next Monday. And so this Monday, we understand how strong and powerful our words are. And next week, we are going to utilize our words in order to create the world that we wish to create. And so, don't be surprised how quickly the universe moves once you decide, once you open your mouth and say, I am deciding to let go of negative self-talk. I am deciding to let go of speaking negatively to my kids. I'm going to let go of how I speak to coworkers. 9 times out of 10, when you have when you don't have great customer service skills, when you are unable to speak to people like they're humans, it's because you are unable to understand how your words are creative and can be used, and your whole tone, all of that matters. Me saying I love you versus me saying I love you are two, I love you. They're two different things. How your intention, how do you intend to make people feel? How do you intend to I am the best author on earth. Really? Do you truly believe that? Nah, I am the best author on earth. #1, New York Times. How you say things to yourself, it's not just about the words that you say, but the intentions behind it, how you mean it, and the force in which you believe it. So we are coming to the top of the hour. I thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. Please remember, today was not an attack on you. I know you are, but what am I? It was an attack on me and the things that I needed to remind myself as far as these words are concerned, as far as the wisdom and understanding that I have and how to share it. I needed to remind myself that these thoughts that I think aren't necessarily real, and they will continue to be fake as long as I do not put the right intention behind them. I allow myself to daydream on a regular basis, but a lot of the times that the daydreams that I am allowing my mind to think about aren't things that I actually want to come to pass into life. Most of the time when I daydream and I'm letting my mind wander, it's in some like realm of despair. It's some weird nonsense that has nothing to do with nothing. It does not improve my life now. It's nothing that I want to actually happen or take place. And so it is in that moment, like, this is not what I want. This is not what I like. I'm stopping this thought right in its tracks. I release it from myself, and I only bring goodness, happiness, love, and light into my life, period. Instead of all types of I can't even tell you the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thoughts I be having in my head that I have to stop on a regular basis. And so tomorrow we will be back in the building with some great conversation. I am Tayla Andre. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell real estate in Massachusetts, Georgia, Rhode Island, 617-459-0041. If you know anybody who is looking to sell or buy a house in the next 5 years, finally home, the step-by-step guide for people preparing for first-time home ownership is the best book in the whole wide world. I'm waiting for Grant Cardone to endorse me and say it is the smartest book he never read. That's actually one of my thoughts that I replay in my head on a regular basis in my Grant Cardone voice. This is one of the smartest books I never wrote. Go check out Tayla Andre, TaylaAndre.com, and you'll love her. You'll absolutely love her in my Grant Cardone voice. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an amazing day. TaylaAndre, everything TaylaAndre.com. Mwah. I'm still high. Yo, don't do edibles on Sunday. That's the only advice I can give you. You do edibles on Saturday. So on Sunday, you have plenty of time to recoup. Because today, man down. Man down. Mwah.